The U.S. State Department is evacuating non-emergency workers from the American embassy in Beirut, Lebanon, as President Trump threatens military action against Iran. U.S. and Iranian negotiators are set to meet this week for another round of talks amid a large American military buildup in the region. Sarakshi Rai, Deputy Managing Editor here at The Hill, joins me to discuss. Hey, Sarakshi. So what do we know about these evacuations in Beirut, and is this a sign that American military action is imminent?
That's right, Drew. So essentially, there's not a lot of information that is out there about this evacuation. What we do know is that all non-essential personnel from the U.S. Embassy in Beirut were evacuated with their families, which could, give rise to potential speculation about the possibility of U.S. strikes on Iran. Right now, that has been something that has been slowly been building up, and the president has also, kind of talked about Iranian action when it comes to this nuclear treaty negotiation that they're trying to do. We know talks are taking place on Thursday between U.S. and Iranian officials, and essentially, this is sending some concern amongst the Middle Eastern allies that, if things don't go well in terms of the talks, there could be a potential strike on Iran. And that is why U.S. citizens were evacuated from Beirut and non-essential embassy personnel as well, Drew.
In addition to those evacuations, you have this incredibly large U.S. military buildup in the region. Can you tell us a little bit about the size and scope of that buildup?
That's right. So, I was just looking at some stats, and essentially, the U.S. has moved 50 fighter jets to the region in the Middle East. We've seen the steady buildup of destroyers, of these, big military vessels kind of moving into the region. And we also know there's a series of fighter jets that's currently in the region, from F-16s, F-32s. And essentially what we are seeing is that this is perhaps the largest kind of buildup that the region has seen in decades. The last time there was this many, of U.S. military fleet in place, there was significant ramifications in the region as well. So just to read out, what we are seeing is that, the official line is that it's a precautionary measure, but there's no denying that there's dozens of military ships. Now I'll read out, we have, 2 destroyers in the Mediterranean Sea, 1 in the Red Sea, 4 in the Persian Gulf, and an aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, accompanied by 4 destroyers in the Arabian Sea. Now, another carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, also arrived in the Mediterranean Sea on Friday, which was also accompanied by warships. We have 50 fighter jets in the Middle East as well that have been moved in the last 24 hours, along with a lot of this continued buildup of air and naval assets near Iran, Drew.
You talked about this meeting that's going to be happening in Geneva, Switzerland on Thursday. What is the latest in these negotiations?
So it's still pretty, unknown where things stand. We do know that there has been some talk of some measures under which, the Iran could continue to operate its nuclear facilities in order to kind of work on some kind of a medical deal where it would only be used for medical purposes. But there's not a lot known exactly about where things stand right now. We know that the president has threatened that, if they weren't going to agree to a deal, then he would have to take some sort of action on Iran. So things are very precarious right now, but we do know that Thursday is the big day for those talks, and we will find out whether or not, those talks have been successful and a deal has been reached or not.
What do we know about the military options that are on the table for President Trump? I know there's been some talk about some sort of a limited strike, seeking to force the Iranians to negotiate further, but then also possibly the notion of even a bigger strike. What do you know?
That's right. All options are on the table for President Trump. We know that, the last strikes that took place in Iran, where the U.S. said that the Iranian nuclear facilities were destroyed, just last year, were targeted. They were targeted to specific sites, and there was, some pre-warning given to allies in the region. Now, what we don't know, considering this vast buildup of naval and aerial assets, whether the president is going to take a targeted approach or whether he's going to take a bigger approach and a major approach. Now, we do know that he said recently that all options on the table, and we'll find out when we do. So essentially now, there's a lot of unknowns whether or not, you know, the president and which direction the president will go with these strikes.
What are the Iranians saying about this? Are they showing any willingness to accept President Trump's demands, and how would they respond to a potential U.S. attack?
That's right. You know, we did hear some bluster last week when this buildup was ongoing. You know, we heard from the Ayatollah who said that, you know, and threatened to kind of sink one of our warships. And so essentially, you know, the Iranians still taking this very tough stance on the buildup, but they do know, you know, they are concerned about this buildup. It's quite a significant buildup in the region. The Middle Eastern allies of the United States are concerned about the buildup as well. You know, they don't want any instability in the region. And so the president and his administration officials have been in close liaison with them. But what we do know is that, you know, the Iranians have been playing things close to their chest. We don't know where things stand on those talks. But we also know that there has been, you know, some sort of bluster shown from the Iranian Ayatollah, who really, you know, threatened to sink one of the warships in a speech to Iranian media and Iranian citizens just last week, which really made waves here in the United States as well. Drew.
A lot going on here. We'll continue to follow. For now, we'll leave it at that. Sarak Shirai, thank you.